Hello. Well, today's not the most exciting of days. I thought I'd bring you along on the journey anyway, because we're covering some of those little projects that just expand and get out of control. I've got the engine shed I will finish today. That's my goal. And the market square on the village green, I'm going to light a couple of the items there. We've already looked at trying to light the caravan, and that worked. I'll show you that. How we power it all. There's a market stall I want to try, and if it works, we'll do the rest. Just a few bits and pieces that you might find interesting. Come on, let's have a look around. Well, now I've taken one of those tiny little market stalls and pulled the roof off. Got away with it. And underneath I've stuck one of those tiny little LEDs. I've gone with a yellow one. We'll see how it looks in a few minutes. But the idea is that it will look like an oil lamp or a gas lamp. What we would call a tilly lamp. I don't know if you know that name, tilly lamp. I haven't heard that for years. And I'll wind these cables down one of those legs and try and hide them. We'll see what happens. That's what I'm on. Once I've done that, I'm going to have to find a way. There's a loop there. I can get the cables through that and then in through a small hole underneath where the cart sits, which was right beside a street lamp, of course. So we'll see how it works. Of course, I will need to glue that roof back on as well. I don't know quite what they're selling there, but it's, I think, vegetables. I wonder what the white stuff is. I don't know. I remember painting it up and getting glue everywhere. Look, you see, looks like that pot's leaking. You see the shine from the glue? I suppose cucumbers over there. Doesn't matter what it is, it's vegetables. Now, some of these processes are oh so slow. So I had first to glue the light on, then I had to clamp that up and leave it. Now I've had to glue the roof on, and I put a dab of glue to hold those wires in place. Once that's set, I'll whip out a brown pot of paint and cover the wires up. Then run those two wires through a hole, which I will drill underneath where it's supposed to be. And then underneath I'll hook it into a lighting circuit. Now, with all of these light circuits, you've got the street lighting. We're about to have the market stall lighting and probably the organ lighting. And of course the organ sound. Still quite proud of that. Well, with all that going on, I forgot how long that thing goes for. Of course, you can't turn it off. So while the organ plays itself to sleep, let's put the two hap to bed. Two hap. I finally figured out what it was. Well, I've been standing here quite some time waiting for the organ to finish playing. These things were called two HAPs, two haps, I'm told. The HA, because there's a half toilet. Well, there's a whole toilet, but there's only a whole toilet in half the train. We talked about that. And two, because there are two cars. I think it's fairly straightforward. And then the P, nothing to do with the toilet. The P is pneumatic, or pneumatic, I guess. I'm guessing. But let's put it away. Oh, it does run beautifully smoothly, doesn't it? There's quite a bit of junk on the track up here. I've got those wagons that are having or market stalls that are having lights installed. I do remember you have to go slowly because this thing doesn't stop on a dime. And the buffers are right there, and you've got to get the whole train in. Dun, 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 dun. But you see, even that, there's still, it's not quite there. Now it's there. But you can see the problem. Now I did get the blue one. This one was the first one I had. And I did get this one to run back and forth. It used to shuttle from where it is right now around the, well, not there, it was over in that bay platform. It would shuttle there from there to the bay platform on the little station. I really should come up with sensible names for these things. There is a deal, but that's because of the deal signal box. Couldn't really call this Edenbridge. It's nothing like Edenbridge, and of course the cricket club is now Edenbridge Cricket Club. I grew up in Edenbridge as a child, went to school there. That's supposed to be me train spotting at the end of the platform there, but I don't know. What should we call this station? Funny, most people have a name before they ever start building. Now there's things lying around the layout all over the place, glue drying. Let's have a look how this one turned out. Well, we'll put some power on it and see, shall we? Well, you don't need to look too closely because there is no internal detail, but yeah, it lights up about right, doesn't it? It looks like a caravan with lights in it. I'm quite pleased with that. That worked. Need to get on with some more. Now it's hooked up to the breadboard and a 9-volt supply. I'm going to do something other than these wall warts. This is, what is this one? I think this is 9 volts. Yeah, 9 volts, 100 milliamps. There's an awful lot of lights running on that one little wall wart, and it's going to only go up. Now, I'm not worried about blowing it up, but I do have a rather large 12-volt power supply, and came out of a computer. I'll show you how to do that at one point. Tornado with Sound no longer got its head stuck in the engine shed there. The engine shed's on the bench, and you can see how that track has nothing to stop the trains crashing through the end of the engine shed. So we're going to have to do something about that. I did that because I want to be able to get them all the way in, but if we're drilling through and putting wires in, we're going to have to make sure nothing comes out of the end, even if it's just sticking a big screw in the end or something. We'll come up with something. Now, really observant viewers will notice I did say I had fixed the gutter. Well, clearly I haven't. It's the one on the back. I remember it being broken. So, and the downspout there is also not glued. So I'm going to glue those things up today before I start prodding and poking with the new lights. This will all, these little jobs, they just drag on forever, don't they? Well, I have no idea where this engine shed came from. I've had it years. I was trying to look for a make on there. Looks like you could have had the track going all the way through. Yeah, I wonder if that wall would come out. Let me just have a quick look. I could cut that out, but then... Now, I'm just going to let sleeping dogs lie. I'll glue that chimney, and while I'm at it, that won't change anything. But that clearly has been put together at some point. But then I wouldn't have the doors. Wouldn't have the doors on the other end, would I? What I was thinking is extending that track a little bit, but it doesn't matter. This works just as well with a little tank in it. And this is how little projects grow, Ian. Stop it. I know this is a 1960s model because it's got dust on it that goes back that far. I really must clean this layout. It's filthy. Now, a couple of things about these lights. First of all, they're not terribly well made. Well, what do you expect for that price? Most of them needed the LED shoved into the light fitting properly. I've then made sure the ones I'm going to use actually work. And then there is a flange there, but the hole actually has to be bigger than you would expect because it's got to get that piece of heat shrink tubing through. I'm not about to cut that off just to find out what's underneath, so we'll just make a bigger hole. Well, there's one in and glued. I'm just threading the wires through on the other one. You can see the mark where the original fitting was cut off. I've put a little bit of glue around the hole, but the heat shrink tubing only just goes through the hole I've drilled. So that's about right then, Ian. Well, there we go. Now, there's the LEDs. You can see they're not set in the center of those things. You can't actually see up there, so that's quite all right. When they're this way up, they'll be fine. Let me just hook them up and show you what they look like. Well, there you go. They're both on, and the downlight pattern is just about right. I'll let the glue set and we'll put that back on the layout, and then we'll hook it all up. Okay, power supplies. I wanted to show you something here. This is an old computer power supply. There's nothing special about it. The only modification is I have removed a few of the extra plugs just for tidiness, but you don't have to. They're quite safe. You can't touch any of the contacts. And you can buy these things. These are about, I think it's $10 for two or $20 for two of them. I've got two of these. And it breaks out the different voltages there. These are very useful for us. You see the 3.3 volts. That would light LEDs on its own. There's a 5 volt, which is very useful. Plus and minus 12 volt. That's kind of interesting. The grounds are all joined together on the other side. You could have a look at that. So you could get 24 volts by going between minus 12 and plus 12. But I like to run everything 12 volt. So just by running a couple of wires to those, I've got myself a nice meaty power supply. Now there is a fuse for each different voltage. There's also an on-off switch which catches you out. Essentially, these things won't run if you just plug them in. There has to be, the computer has to tell it to turn on. Well, all it does is joins a couple of these wires together. Let me just plug that in and show you what it looks like. There, so there you go. It just plugs into the end of the standard socket there. There are, of course, two different kinds of sockets. You just have to make sure you're getting whichever one it is that you're needing. It's not dangerous, which is what I like about it. The 4 holes, I don't like screwing these things straight down to wood. So I have some standoffs. You could use a couple of washers, I suppose, but I use some nylon standoffs. Let me see if I can find them and show you. Well, there you go. I'll dig one out because it's not obvious what they do. I'm all mucky. I've been in the garage. So you screw the, you put a screw through the bottom of the L there to hold it down, and it can move around a little bit. And then there's the right kind of thread in the other hole to take these little bolts. I'll show you. You put a bolt through the hole, like so. And that goes into these. It's a funny angle you're looking at there. Now what I usually do is put them all through the circuit boards first and actually leave the screw holes on the outside of the board. Something like that, so that you can actually get a screwdriver to the other screw. What I do is put a pen mark in there or something and then get on with it. And then that holds the board. These are taller than they need to be, but this holds the board off the whatever it is you're mounting it to. Now, of course, the reason you need a big power supply isn't because these things draw very much. It's because collectively, there's a lot of them. And so those will all run to a central place somewhere instead of having those wall warts every time I've got another scene. Now, it is a bit of a balancing act because you can see the airport all the way over there, which is where the cricket ground is about to go into. And there'll be lights up there. But look how far it is to get all the way down and around and all the way back up the other side to here. And so lots of cables end up getting run. It looks like a mad scientist bench. All I'm doing here is trying out the different resistor values. You need at least 10K. And I found that 22 was too much. But adding a 2.2, so 12.2K, just drops the overall brightness just down to that dim value that we want for an engine shed yard. So that's all I'm doing there. I'll solder those in series, so a 10 and a 2.2 in series will give you 12.2, of course. Oh, it looks a big mess and complicated and all that. But it isn't. It's just a couple of resistors in series there, and I'll cover the whole lot up with heat shrink. Well, there we go. That's what it looks like on the inside when I've finished. The two cables coming in go up, so they're not going to foul a locomotive coming in, and then into the heat shrink tubing, which has been glued to the side, and then these cables will go down through the board. And that will attach to the 12 volts. The resistors are inside that. And so if I do need access to them, there would be just enough cable to re-terminate those in future if they were needed. There are no lights inside the engine shed is the only thing. I contemplated it, but there really isn't much to see in there except cables stuck to a wall and glue marks, so we're not going to bother lighting the shed. Well, there you go, a couple of lights on the side of the engine shed. I'll turn them off so that you have a clue how much difference it makes. Looks like a moonlit scene. Yeah, there's not much light down at this end of the room, and I think you can see how much difference they make. I think it's effective. A lot of work, but it's worth it. It's these little things that take time that add up to the overall, isn't it? The market stall lit up with the yellow LED. I think it looks pretty good. The caravan isn't turned on right now. I've still got to run the bus wires underneath the board, but I thought you'd like to see that. Lovely. Now, me being a bit of a notice that kind of thing, there is a little bit of light leak on the top here. You see that? I'll put an extra coat of grey paint over that. But it still looks pretty good to me. Yeah, I think it's worth doing the rest, don't you? Well, now, thanks for watching. I hope you found that at least somewhat interesting. We'll go back to running trains and I will finish that cricket pitch, I promise. It's well on the way. I've got a few more days off before I have to go flying again. And so should get that done before that happens. I'll pop that up on the channel very soon. Quite surprised at the interest. Thank you. Click that like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Really does help. Encourages me, you see. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.